始まりと終わりの街ローグタウン上陸。
It's time we set forth on this grand adventure. Welcome back to the Pirate Odyssey, a One Piece discussion traversing through its anime adaptation using the perspectives of a longtime fan, myself, Sour Lemon, and a first-time viewer, my co-host, CamCam. You never know what will be encountered in this great pirate era, and our next discovery are the Crossroads of Destiny, Logtown, and the Millennium Dragons of Warship Island.
What? But I did notice in the manga it's called Rogue Town.
That's a mistranslation.
Ah, okay, I see. Bummer, because I like that better.
Viz Media Man. No, the reason it's Logtown, I meant to look this up before, but I'm gonna look it up now. Is because the word log like actually means something. What? No, not Logtown. Log, just log. Or Logue, I think is the.
What is it? Logue?
Yeah.
Mm.
Although, well, apparently it doesn't mean what I thought it did.
Well, okay, smarty pants.
Yeah.
Sour, wrong again. Somebody keep tabs.
Yeah. Jeez.
I'm just kidding.
I thought it had something to do with, well, first of all, you have the log pose when you actually get into the Grand Line.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a crossroads of destiny type name sort of thing, supposed to be, I'm pretty sure. Whereas
yeah.
Rogue Town is, town of rogues, which makes sense, but also not good enough. It's not good enough for One Piece, I would say.
Okay, I got it. But yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I guess I'll accept it.
Yeah. So, do you have any initial thoughts on Logtown?
Okay, so as I was watching it, I didn't really have any super interesting things I was thinking about. Like after we watched it, I was like, fuck, like what am I gonna say about this arc? And then as I started thinking about it, I was like, oh, okay, so this is what this means. Okay, there's a deeper meaning behind all the kind of like silliness, and when you kind of look into other different things people say in it, you kind of get to the meat of where the story kind of starts on the Grand Line. So yeah, I really like this arc, and I liked seeing all my favorite men together, my three favorite men. So that was nice, and we get to see Alvida herself. I did the red lip for Miss Alvida, my Lord and Savior. So
I am not so conscious of my costume design.
Ugh, boring.
I know, right?
Well, at least one of us is,
Here, I'll put on a mask.
You're gonna put on Buggy's nose. That'd be a good idea.
Oh my god, I do not have Buggy's nose. No.
Boring.
So, the way Logtown works as an arc is, it takes all of our Straw Hat pirates and it splits them off to go in different directions to do different things related to their characters. In most case, yeah, and I was gonna say something really dumb. So not that, but they do things related to their characters, and we can go over those things in reverse recruitment order.
Because the anime, I guess because they're trying to like make this arc a little bit longer, they added, I guess, a few extra scenes here and there in the anime.
I'm actually not sure what they added or did not add, personally.
Well, don't worry, I can tell you.
Okay.
When we get there, I got your back.
Yeah. The one who had the least amount of stuff going on was Nami. She just kind of ran around and was a supporting character in the other Straw Hats little personal arcs. And the most notable thing she did was lend money to Zoro at 300% interest that he
Man, what a
had not paid
scammer.
off, like, even by the time they get to Alabasta.
Yeah, man, what a scammer. But Zoro didn't even try. He hasn't even tried to pay it off.
Well,
So like, kind of his fault.
he needed new swords, and they haven't exactly like made any money as a pirate crew. That's
Oh, okay,
the
yeah,
main thing about the Straw Hat Pirates is what makes them the least functional as a pirate crew compared to other pirates is that they don't like take treasure from
they
anywhere.
don't loot. Yeah,
Yeah, they manage to every single time they stop at an island get supplies from that island either because they fight the native wildlife or
hmm
they save the island and they give them a bunch of food in return. But they rarely actually get loot that they can spend on things. And even if they did, Nami would probably take jurisdiction of all of it anyways.
Oh yeah, she's like, I'm the accountant. It's
Yeah,
mine. Like I will duel it out efficiently. So yeah.
yeah. So, uh, the next person that we'll talk about does things. Sanji. He joins a cooking competition to get access to a big old fish.
Yes, which isn't in the manga.
Um,
But
I think it's an interesting addition to Logtown because it kind of reinforces what Sanji's priorities are.
yeah.
Because he loves cooking. It's his job. It's his life duty, so to speak.
hmm
But his goal lies in finding the all blue rather than related to his chefing skills. And he has such confidence in his chefing skills and what his role is that he doesn't feel the need to or the desire to engage in competition with other chefs.
Yeah, right. And of course, like the woman who shows up is like Spanish, and I guess she's kind of supposed to be like a flamenco dancer,
Yeah.
which is like a traditional Spanish style dancing. Which fun fact, flamenco dancing isn't super common in Spain anymore. It's actually there's actually more flamenco dancers in Japan than in Spain now. So, in fact.
Japan has all of the coolest culture.
I know. Like Spain was like, who cares? And Japan was like, no,
Spain
we love it.
Spain gave up on everything except for bulls.
Yeah, honestly, like the worst. Ugh, animal cruelty, the worst. Like, wow.
I
Okay.
mean, is that the people who get injured during like the bull races and
Yeah.
the
And
big bull
Catholicism, they
event?
didn't give up on
Oh,
Catholicism. So
that's
yeah.
true. They haven't been the main source of religious conflict, though. So
Yeah. So I guess we'll give him that.
yeah,
And like I can't remember what her name was, but like oh my god, it was just so stereotypical like Spain or like Spanish people. I was like, but okay, I'll take
I
it.
think her name was
And
Carmen.
yeah, Carmen and Jose.
Yeah,
So yeah.
one of them with the like massive nostrils and tiny eyes. The
Yeah. Oh
nostrils look
yeah, and
like
I was like,
eyes.
no, because that's like that's kind of like stereotypical like Mexican and Spanish people kind of look like.
I
And
did not realize that was where they got that idea from.
yeah, it's like a caricature of what Hispanic people look like. So,
I thought they were
yeah.
just supposed to look stupid.
Yeah, they were supposed to look stupid. They were making fun of ethnic people, so like thanks. So yeah. But yeah, I did kind of and I like that she had kind of like no interest in him like romantically. Like she was just like don't touch me, like hello, like I'm
Well,
only interested in
okay,
your cooking skills.
that's the
Yeah.
case with all women with Sanji.
But like she straight up like popped him in the face with a frying pan. Like good for her.
Multiple times, and he accepts
Good
that
for her.
as a form of love.
Yeah.
Um, but it also shows that he, of course, prioritizes cooking over his obsession over women as well. Because when it comes
Yeah.
down to it, he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna chef real good now."
Yeah. And yeah, like the fish itself like symbolizes like his dream. And
Yeah,
so then he's like, okay, well, I gotta enter the cooking competition now because like that's the main prize. Like
yeah.
I just gotta do it.
the fish itself actually introduces an interesting like idea and
Hmm.
potential foreshadowing. We don't exactly know if this is the case yet because One Piece is not over. Of like what the all blue is and what kind of
Yeah.
circumstances it exists in. Because it's this idea of this is a fish from a different major ocean that has found its way into the East Blue due to some of the like
I
undersea
think like water
currents.
currents or
Yeah,
something. Yeah.
due to some of the undersea currents that occasionally happen in the region of the island. So
Yeah.
it's this interesting
Like
little
it's like another
tidbit.
clue or like proof that, you know, what like what he has always thought of like is true.
Yeah.
And so of course
Um,
he's like, I need it. I want it.
and it is actually something that will come back in the actual story that Oda wrote as well
Mhm.
later on. So, and anything else on Carmen San Diego and Sanji?
Oh my god, Carmen San Diego. Ugh, I've
Where
never
in the
even heard
world is
there's
she?
um what does she say after? I think she's just like, oh, like I knew oh yeah, she had like met him when they were like kids, I guess, is when
Oh
she like first
yeah,
noticed him,
yeah. They'd met each
right?
other before, and he acted pretty much the same way, minus
Yeah.
the womanizing as he did then, where it's like, "Bitch, get out of here! I'm cooking now."
Yeah, pretty much. And so you know that was her like dream of like trying to find him and like cook against him, and like she knew, I guess she
She
always knew
wanted,
in her heart that like he could like she couldn't beat him,
yeah,
but
because she
yeah.
wants to be the greatest chef in the East Blue,
Hmm.
presumably at a minimum,
Yeah.
whereas Sanji just wants to find fish, wants to find the fish.
Yep.
So
And so they take, or like of course he wins and they go home, I guess. But like I guess there's like a spin-off series. Is there a spin-off series of like One Piece? Is that my understanding?
Uh, in regards to Carmen, not that I'm aware of.
Or like food, or am I thinking of something else?
You're probably thinking of something else.
Mm.
There have been some One Piece spin-offs done by other artists, not
Oh, okay.
Oda, but
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
that's I don't believe that is one of them. And to be fair, the only one I'm like truly aware of that's actually notable is the Ace one by Boichi.
Maybe it's like a fan thing I'm thinking of then. I
Maybe
don't know. Maybe it's like fan drawings
I
that look strangely
I'll,
similar.
well, way
I'll
later
have to
on,
find them.
I might bring up something called Return to Reverie, which is a sort of like in joke for in a One Piece community that I came from for like being really stupid and head ass with fan theories. And
Oh, okay.
Admiral Ricardo.
Oh my gosh.
I love
Okay.
Admiral Ricardo. Um, so let's move on then. Let's go
Okay.
to Usopp, who has a duel with Daddy the Father.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about Daddy the Father. Oh my god.
Is it the coolest name or is it the worst name?
It's the worst name. It comes out so weird. I hate it. It gives me the ick. Like pick one or the other, bro. I don't
in,
know.
in the subtitles, it's translated as Daddy the Parent, but in dub, it's
Daddy the
Daddy the Father.
Ew, it's just so weird. Gives me the ick. But yeah, like Usopp is trying to what, or he's
He,
like thrift shopping, and of
yeah, he
course,
wants
like
some new
he,
goggles.
yeah, he's what you kind of cut out. Oh,
He wants some new goggles. I think it's your internet that's shitting the fucking bed, unless it's mine.
mm,
It's possible that it's mine, but I don't think it's mine.
yeah, I think it's fine. Hold on.
Are you good now?
Yeah, I'm good now. Okay, what did you say?
uh, he's thrift shopping and he sets his eyes on a new pair of goggles.
Yeah, and then of course he left his money outside because he's an idiot because he has this huge backpack full of stuff that he's already found.
Yeah.
And so a little girl, of course, beats him to it. And of course he has to have them. I'm like, God, you
Yeah,
can't just let the little girl like
because well,
take him this one time.
I mean, they're the only pair of that goggle in the entire town, and maybe even in the East Blue. I don't fully remember what was said about them.
I think
Um,
they like used to belong to another legendary pirate supposedly, but
no, you're
I don't
thinking
think
of
that's
something
true.
else where some guy
Am
was
I?
lying to Usopp about something belonging to Gold Roger. And I think Luffy was there at the time too, and they both believed it. They're like, "What?
Oh, okay.
I can't
Get
believe
another.
Gold Rod. It was a pistol, maybe. I think.
Oh yeah, it was like this squished up little toy that they said was like a pistol.
Yeah, it's like Gold
Yeah.
Roger used this pistol himself. It's like no, he
Oh
didn't.
yeah, and it's like okay, sure, Jan,
Yeah.
whatever. And
Um.
so yeah, so like the little girl takes him, and I think she's kind of a crappy kind of kid. She's like a little spoiled brat, and so they're
She's a
kind of
little
arguing back and
bratty,
forth.
but at the same time,
Yeah,
she's a kid, and she wanted to
she's a
give
kid,
those.
Usopp.
She wanted to give those goggles to her dad as a present.
Yeah, so
So
like Usopp, can you just like let her be a child and like just let her have the goggles? I don't know, sir.
no, because he's gotta use them for a very long time in the series to come.
And then he like tries to intimidate her, right? Like,
Yeah, because he says that he's the one with the 30 million berry bounty on his head because he's on the wanted poster, technically, the back of his head.
oh yeah, and then she's like, "Well, my daddy is like the baddest bounty hunter or something like that, right?"
She's like, "Oh, you have a bounty on your head? Interesting. Let me go tell my dad."
Who
who's
tattletale on you to my daddy?
yeah, who's a bounty who's a bounty hunter.
Yeah. And so of course and he's like, "Oh yeah, I think I remember seeing you." And of course it's like Usopp's, head on the
Yeah.
back of the wanted poster with Luffy. Like he's the only other one on the wanted poster, of course.
And of course he also recognizes Usopp because he looks so much like Yasopp, and
Yeah.
his name is so reminiscent of Yasopp. And
Yeah.
it's like, let's duel. Let's do a duel for these goggles. And
Yeah.
Usopp, he doesn't back down because he gets called out on whether or not he's brave.
Yeah. And of course he's like scared to death and everybody's around watching, and I think doesn't Nami show up, I think, at this
Later on,
point?
she sees that they're dueling, and
Yeah.
she joins into the conversation after Usopp fails, or after he
Hmm.
tries to run away, and
Oh
the
yeah, he
entire
tries to like
crowd gets disappointed and leaves.
yeah, because he chickened out basically.
Yeah,
A-
I mean, to
And
be
then
fair, he would have lost.
oh yeah, definitely because Daddy the father is like the daddy, he's the
It's
king
more
of
importantly,
bounty
it's
hunters.
because Usopp isn't used to using pistols. Even though he's like a
Yeah.
fantastic sniper, he would not be able to
If
do a pistol duel in the same manner his dad would be able to.
yeah, like if you're not used to using type of weapon, like you're kind of screwed. Like so can't really blame him. And of course, like the daughters, I'm like the daughters are just like kind of making fun, poking fun a little bit. And and I think at that point is when he recognizes Usopp, and then he tells the story of when he meets Usopp's
Yeah, so
father, and
and those two, Daddy the father, who was that at that point in time a new father, a very new
yeah.
father, because he was still a Marine. He had
Mhm.
a duel with Yasop, and after he lost to Yasop, they had a conversation because Daddy tried to, because he lost the duel, he was like, "Well, are you gonna take my life?" And Yasop's like, "No, you have a daughter. I have a son. I kind of fucking abandoned him to go out to sea.
I'm kind of a
Um,
crappy dad. Like
but
you
but
obviously
I
love your kid.
but I do love my son. I just love the sea more." And
It's just like, can you imagine? Can you imagine? I'm Usopp is like Usopp's different than me because like if he's just so happy to hear about his dad and hear this amazing
Yeah, he's
story about
proud
his
of his
father.
dad. He's proud
Yeah.
of his
Well,
dad, the impressive pirate.
I'm a daddy's girl. If my dad said that about me, game over. Like, I'm sorry, my dad's getting a talking to. Like, no, thank you. Like the way Daddy the father is with his daughter, that's way my dad is with me. Like, is like especially when I was like itty bitty like that. So like, yeah, I think the best thing a parent can do is to like be present, like physically present in their child's life. So I'm kind of like looking at Usopp's dad, like, at least you're honest, I guess, about it. I'll give you that. But
Yeah.
like poor Usopp's like holding on to any little crumbs of his dad that he can. I feel so bad because it's the only parent he has that's alive. So like poor Usopp.
So Yasop essentially tells Daddy, he should like value his life a little bit more for the sake of his daughter, which causes
But
him to
because he's
quit
like,
being a
I
Marine.
lost, so kill me. He's like pushing
Yeah.
the subject. Yeah.
So he quits being a Marine and transitions into being a bounty hunter, even though he was one of the greatest sharpshooters of the Marines, at least in the region.
Yeah.
And uh, through that conversation, and also through that conversation, Usopp like uh, says to him like, "Duel me again. I won't run away this time." Effectively.
Yeah.
And so Daddy gives him a new challenge, one that is more conducive to Usopp's skill set, which is
Yeah.
to shoot a weather vane way off in the distance on top of a roof. And Usopp,
Yeah.
he's a good sniper. He does it
Yeah.
somehow with a fucking slingshot.
And it's like super far away. And at first, I think he doesn't think he hit it, or like they say like
No,
he didn't hit
everybody
it.
else doesn't think he hit it.
Oh,
Daddy
okay.
instantly sees it, but it's like so far away, and Usopp shoots like straight through a very small target, even on the weather vane.
Yeah.
That the daughter and Nami are unable to see that.
Yeah. But of course, like experts like them, like know right
Yeah.
away. And I was for sure like he didn't hit it. I was like, oh dang.
Like,
Ooh,
well,
Usopp.
if that was the case, he would have died. Like,
Yeah.
he literally said, like, you can take my life or something like that if I fail this
Yeah, but
duel.
it's anime.
Okay, how would he have gotten out of it? Like the entire like One Piece in a lot of ways is constructed. It's constructed on like the idea of romance.
Hmm.
And in a lot of ways that idea revolves around like a sort of what we understand today to be a sort of like masculinity of like being a cool guy, uh,
Yeah.
and in that situation, it would have reneged on One Piece's themes to for him to run away from sacrificing his
Yeah.
life.
Like I guess as Hispanics would say, like machismo is how you
Yeah,
would say
it's
it, I guess.
machismo.
Another word
That's
for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic word for it.
Yeah.
Um,
Um since like Carmen was there. I guess there's another thread to Spain, to
yeah.
Hispanic culture.
Uh,
But but yeah, and then they go off, and he's just like, "Oh, my little girl, like I love you, Oh, it's
yeah,
great. We love to see it.
and
We
Usopp
love to
won
see a
his
good dad."
goggles.
Oh yeah, Usopp did get his goggles. Like all that for a pair of goggles, Usopp. Okay.
Yeah.
It's too much
So
work for me, but good
yeah.
for him.
So you have through Daddy the Father a sort of continuation of Usopp's increasing self confidence and bravery and understanding of what it means to be this romantic depiction of a man, as well as sort of chasing after, in some ways, the shadow of his dad, Yasop.
Yeah. And because I think in a lot of ways when you don't have like I guess when your parent isn't like present in your life, of course I don't know what the case is for men, but from what I've heard, is just like that when you hear stories about your father, you kind of do idealize them a lot, and you do kind of chase after that
You would especially
dream of your
idealize
father.
a father like Yasop, who is a
Hmm.
world-renowned pirate.
Yeah, and who traveled with Shanks in
Yeah,
his crew. So yeah,
he's traveled the globe on a very well-known pirate ship.
yeah. So
Um,
I do definitely do understand where Usopp is coming from, but like from that aspect, like you do tend to idealize that and idealize your parent. But I'm like, I really hope for Usopp's sake and my sake that like Usopp's father like shows up or something.
I
And if he
mean,
hasn't showed up yet, I'm gonna be very sad.
you see Yasop as often as you see Shanks, which you that
Stop!
which we actually it's totally
You're kidding me.
we actually totally skipped over it. But after Arlong Park, Luffy gets issued this 30 million berry bounty with the shit-eating grin on his face and Usopp's back of his head, and it cuts away to Shanks, who learns about
Oh
this
yeah.
through Mihawk,
Oh
and
yeah. Mihawk shows up, that manga panel of Mihawk like pulling up to the island. Dang, he looks good. Like,
and you have
ooh,
a you actually have a little back and forth between the two that
yeah.
fans over the series have like extrapolated a lot of information off of, and
Mhm.
that those two used to like fight each other, have
Duel.
swords
Yeah.
fights or duel each other. But after Shanks lost his arm, when he
Yeah.
saved
He
Luffy, he was no longer worth fighting, according to
yeah, he
Mihawk.
was like, I don't fight like one-armed has-beens.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Are you
sir,
ableist, Mihawk? Excuse me.
a Mihawk is ableist, but since he's hot, I'll give him a break, I guess.
um, yeah,
But yeah.
and of course, Shanks's response to learning about Luffy's bounty is to party, even though he was hungover. He starts drinking again, and
Yeah.
and
Oh
everybody
yeah.
else in his crew is partying.
And then we see Luffy's hometown. We get that view. And everybody's like, look, Luffy made it. Like this was his dream. He wanted to be a pirate and look, he's a pirate. Like, yay. And everybody's celebrating.
Except
And
for
the
Whoop
mayor's
Slap.
like, yeah, and the mayor's like, what's so great about being a pirate? Like, and everybody's like, oh, like, do you think our town will be like known as like be well known as like, oh, this is the hometown of like Luffy, Monkey D. Luffy? And the mayor's like, what's so good about that? Like, that's awful. And of course, and he's just worried. I think at the end of the day, he's just worried about Luffy. Is
Yeah,
kind of what you're kind of supposed to get at from that scene. He's just kind of like,
yeah.
grumpy old man about it.
Yeah, and this will happen actually every time we get bounties for the crew as well. We'll run through most, if not all, of the towns that they're all from. Because next up, we also cut to Syrup Village, where Kaya learns about it, and
Oh
she's
yeah.
studying to be a doctor. And she's like, I gotta step up my game. Usopp, you're so cool. Oh yeah, because Mary shows her the poster, and she's like, oh, Usopp's on that poster. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
And I love that she notices him because nobody
Yeah.
else does. And she opens up the windows and like looks out like she's thinking about like her memories of him when he
Yeah,
used to be
sitting on
out
the
the window.
branch and inspiring her, keeping her company.
It's so sweet.
And then, of course, we also cut to the Baratier, where they put Luffy's wanted poster right front and center of the
Mm-hmm.
this main mast in the restaurant dining room.
Yeah.
Uh, because the he saved them and Sanji's on there and
Yeah.
full. I you notice on that same mast there's a whole bunch of other wanted posters from other
Yeah.
people as well. Um, but so it sort of like masks the intention of putting that Wander's poster on there.
Yeah.
As
I know. Yeah. But it seems like bigger, I feel like.
I think it's
Or it's like
more.
meant to
I
like
think the other ones are just like
cinematic.
blurred out.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe just in my imagination, it's just like seemed bigger.
It's because, you know, they drew it to be actually like prominent and
Yeah.
visible, you know, as the focus of the shot.
Okay, yeah, okay. But yeah.
Yeah. Um
It's very enduring. Like it's very sweet to kind of like because they don't do that in the manga. So it's kind of like they only do that with like Shanks and like Luffy's hometown in the manga.
they didn't do
So
it
they
that
don't
time in the manga. They
I don't
certainly
think
do it. They certainly do it going forward.
I
I'm
don't think
fairly
they do
sure.
the Baratier, but I could be wrong. I could just be like I read it yesterday, so I could be wrong.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I think
they didn't do a whole lot with the Bratier one, anyways. They basically
mhm,
just like showed people still cooking and the wanted poster in the dining room.
yeah. And so it to me I love that they did that so much because it just reminds you how far we have come and how far they have come. Okay. I say we because it feels like you're just a part of the crew, right?
Well, I
And,
mean,
you know that
it
that's a
is a journey
yeah.
for the viewer as well because it's a
Yeah.
long ass story.
It's so freaking long, oh my god. And then when you think of the pace of the anime, it's so freaking long.
When you think at this point in time, we're somewhere around like 60 or somewhere between 60 and 70 episodes in, I think, and there's 1,000 and like 20 something, I think, right now.
Mhm. Oof.
So yeah, long way to go. Not even a tenth. Not even a tenth.
Great. You know, we're so excited. But like it's just it's so enduring to see how far we have come and how proud everybody is and like and it's good to like see a glimpse that that Mihawk and Shanks, you know, like you said, they do know each other and Shanks still remembers Luffy and that like Luffy meant a lot to
as,
Shanks and still
as if
does.
as if Shanks would forget about the kid he lost his arm and gave his hat to.
Well, still, I don't know. Maybe he's just like some forgotten
He's got like
soul.
dementia.
Maybe he does this with other kids. Maybe
Shanks
he's a
is like
groomer. I don't
Shanks
know.
is like maybe in his 30s or something. I don't actually know for sure, but like he's not that
Okay,
old.
okay. Maybe he lost a couple toes saving some other kids. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I just like it. I think it's sweet because sometimes in anime you don't get a lot of callbacks like that, so it's nice.
I mean, the long running shonens, because they're like the main long running stories that come out of
Yeah.
Japan, do that from time to time. But One Piece certainly does it the most, uh, in part because it's one of the longest, and the nature in which Oda segments his story as well leans into that being the case.
Yeah.
Um, so,
But yeah, but that was really nice. I think I was like grinning from ear to ear the whole time I was watching it. So yeah,
yeah, it's
10 out of
very
10.
sweet, and it only gets more like emotional the later you get in the story when you with the more, I would say, like uh Arlong Park and Kokuyashi Village, very emotionally affecting. Baratie is also very emotionally affecting, but even later on, and we've already seen Drum Island at this point,
Hmm.
uh some of the stories just get like heavier in terms of their
Oh yeah.
emotions, not lighter usually. So it's it gets gets me going just thinking about Drum Island.
Okay, that's exciting. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'm here for it. We're here
Yeah.
for it.
So the two main characters in Logtown that get like sort of focus and actual thematic relevance, I suppose, to their characters are Zoro and Luffy. And of course, we're gonna start with Zoro and his little
Hmm.
adventures in getting new swords.
Yeah, which I did like because like he's of course like he needs money and I think he does get some money from Nami, right, for the swords, I
Yeah, he
think.
gets 100,000, which is not enough, generally speaking. and he has to pay her back 300,000, as we'll see, regardless of whether or not he spends it.
Yep, and interest. Like, oof, sucks.
Yeah.
And so he's walking through town, and then he notices there's a couple of like punks like trying to bully a girl, and like they're getting ready to swing at her, and so he's like gets ready to jump in, and girl, she can take care of herself, she's fine.
Oh yeah,
like
Tashigi, yeah.
I can't remember the exact dialogue between them, but she's able to take care of herself, and Zoro's like super surprised by that. And but then she does trip, and she like trips over her own feet and falls down. And she drops her glasses.
Yeah, because you have this thing with Tashigi, the way that she functions combat-wise as a character, is when she's wearing her glasses, she's very clumsy. When she's not wearing her glasses, she's a very skilled swordsman.
Weird.
Is how it works.
But okay.
Yeah. I'm
trying to think. Like, does that, like, is there any other characters that I know that are like that? But no, that is that. Okay. I mean, okay, I'll accept it. It's weird, but okay.
Yeah.
But like, she drops her glasses, and Zoro goes to pick them up.
Oh, right.
And at least in the
happens.
Yeah, and at least in the anime, like you know, she's smiling, she's like, oh, thanks, and he gets a flat, like he recognizes her, like he gets like a flashback.
Yeah. Kuina, very interesting character. Her mere existence is interesting because she has the same exact face as Kuina,
literally,
Zoro's childhood rival, even though, for all intents and purposes, seemingly at least so far, they're completely unrelated. She just looks exactly the same, and also is a swordsman for some reason.
Yeah, they couldn't get another swordswoman, you know, for Zoro and make them look different, but okay. And then he's like in shock, and he just like breaks the glasses in his fist.
Yeah, the Kuina is always Tashigi has always been.
See, even you're getting them mixed up.
Yeah. An interesting character to think about, for me at least, because maybe I'm not, even with having seen / read everything up to this point, maybe I'm not like understanding what Oda is going for with Tashigi, but I at least think that like nothing significant has really been done with her. And nothing about her has really actually contributed to Zoro's character arc. And so she feels like a sort of bizarre inclusion, especially to specifically have Kuina's face. Like you could develop a sort of pseudo rivalry between Zoro and this marine lady who wants to defeat him as a swordsman. But and have that, I guess, sort of reminiscent parallel to his backstory. But even then, Zoro is always, throughout the entire story, so significantly stronger than Tashigi, it feels kind of pointless.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking, because like I remember when we were watching it together, you had said the same thing. I was like, oh, like I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with her, and you're like, and you're like, oh, well, sad to say.
I'm not. Don't get too excited.
Because I literally thought that this was his childhood friend who like maybe didn't fall down the stairs, or maybe like I had like this crazy like
miraculous recovery.
Yeah, miraculous recovery, or like maybe she like escaped the dojo, or like escaped the dojo and like ran away from home, and like, you know, was gonna like make a name for herself by herself, and like to prove her father wrong. So she had to like go into hiding or create a new identity. Like I was like going to all these crazy theories, and you're like, no.
I mean, I'll stand by anything is possible until the story ends. But
more than likely.
as it stands, it does not seem particularly likely that we're gonna have any sort of like plot twist or revelation like that in regards to Tashigi.
It makes me so sad. I don't know. I just was really, I don't know. Like, I was just really, I really wanted something good for her. You know. I don't know. Makes me sad. Especially with her having the childhood friend's face. Like like you said, she could have looked like anybody else. I mean, not anybody else, but she could have looked totally different. It could have been a totally different person at this point in time.
Yeah, and she pulls like the sexism line on Zoro at one point too, where she's like, "Oh, I think it's when they're fighting, when they're trying to run away from the island."
Oh yeah.
She's like, "Oh, you won't fight me seriously because I'm a woman, and you don't think a woman can be a swordsman." And Zoro's like, "No,
The
you
same
have
line.
my childhood friend's face. Like, what the fuck are you on about?"
Like, no, it's completely different. Oh, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, well, I bet she was a great swordswoman or something like that."
And Zora's
Or
like, I don't
something
know,
like
I don't know what to do here. Like, what is
Oh,
happening?
and then I think like she also said like, oh, well, like, oh, what is she doing now, or like what does she think, or something like that. And Zora's like, well, it like doesn't answer the question. Like, it's just weird.
Which
It's just
Kuina would think that Zoro is doing a pretty good job, I would think. Because he's pursuing his goals, even if he's a pirate. I think she asks him,
yeah.
what would his childhood friend think of him being a pirate? And it's like, oh, I don't think she would have much of a problem with it. He's trying to be the world's greatest swordsman, and that's like the whole thing that the two of them had.
Yeah, that was yeah. So I mean, if we're only looking at from like a childhood perspective, like she wouldn't care. Like
She
I see
didn't
no problems
seem
with
to
it.
have any particular prejudices against like pirates or bounty hunters or
Yeah.
anything of the sort.
Yeah, and there was no like any like moral arguments, so it was just like weird to like even bring that up. Like I mean they didn't really go in depth into conversations like that, so like why would you bring it up? It's just like doesn't make sense. It's just weird.
Yeah. Any case, back to the story itself, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
In
Um
in response to Zoro breaking Tashiki's glasses, she like accosts him and forces him to work at the marine base as like a swabby to repay it. And you get a nice little scene where he sweeps the halls with his 3 broom style.
oh yeah. Yeah, okay, because he's like, oh, this is taking too long. Oh, let me use 3 brooms and okay, it's silly.
Yeah.
And then he watches her like teach a class, and she's like whooping all these Marines' butts.
Yeah, but
And he's
Marines
like,
in the base, yeah, but Marines in the base recognize him, and so he has to get out.
yeah, and I think he leaves some money, and it's like, here's for your glasses, okay, thanks, kind of thing.
Yeah, something like that. That maybe that
Eh,
was before he got loaned money from Nami then. But I thought, whatever, it doesn't matter when he got the
yeah,
loan.
I think it's something like that, but that's not in the manga. Like that whole section with the Marine base isn't in the manga, so like it's just anime only. So
How did the manga transition from the breaking of the glasses to the sword?
he didn't even break her glasses.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he didn't even break her glasses. And like they met again at the swords shop.
Yeah.
So
And she's like, wow. So this is yet another, I wouldn't say it's super important, but like a world building factoid when he's shopping for swords, where you have these like tiers of swords that are of like special quality, that are like cool swords, I guess. And
yeah,
and the sword that his childhood friend had, that Kuina had, the Wado Ichimanchi, is one of the special swords. And she's like, wow, that's worth like a lot of money.
yeah, and she's like, oh, and with her glasses, oh, let me look through my book of like
But
my
regardless of its costs,
encyclopedia of swords.
yeah, she's got like encyclopedia of swords. But of course, regardless of its cost, Sora's like, I'm not gonna sell this sword. It's a memento.
Yeah. And so like and of course the shop owner, as all shop owners do,
Tried to scam Zoro.
try to scam Zoro, and Zoro's like, no. Like, sorry, I ain't
But
trying to
also,
sell it.
Zoro can't afford like any of the swords in the shop, so he goes to the bargain
Yeah.
bin. And what does he find?
And it's just like a barrel of just random
But yeah,
swords.
you actually, it's actually like a common thing, not just in like fictional blacksmith shops or whatever, but even just like in modern
Mm-hmm.
sort of knickknack shops, I guess, where you have like the bargain barrel.
Yeah.
But in that barrel is another one of the special swords, but ooh, this one's cursed.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
Tetsu the Third.
yeah. And of course she doesn't know it's cursed, and she's like, why is this in the bargain bin? Like, you could charge like this much money for it. Like, it's worth so much money. And he is like, it's in here because it's cursed. Like,
Because
Zoro
all
knows
of
right
its
away.
users had died.
Yeah.
Um,
Um and I think all the previous swords, right, in that like generation in that line
oh
were
yeah,
cursed
all
as
of the
well.
Tetsu swords are cursed.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'll take it. And he's like, no, like, you don't want it. I'm telling you, like, it's bad. Like, that, like, I've been trying to get rid of it. And so he goes, well, let's see. And he throws a sword up in the air and
Which
like has his arm
apparently
out.
it's so sharp that it will just slice his arm clean off just from a simple
Yeah.
toss in the air. Which, I'm not so sure that's how it works, but it's a special sword and it's cursed, so
Yeah. Yeah. Me, magic.
yeah.
And of course it like completely like goes around his arm and like hits the floor.
Yeah.
And to me, kind of what that scene kind of signified to me was that like Zoro's kind of taking the reins of his own life. Like, he is um like kind of taking charge of his life, and like he will that a cursed object or like a superstition isn't going to stop him from achieving his goal, and this sword is going to help him achieve that, so of course he's going to use it. And something like a curse isn't going to scare him away from that.
The
He is like the master of his destiny or whatever,
the
typical
way I
shonen
was
type
going
stuff.
to put it in a way that sort of foreshadows future elements of
Hmm.
One Piece is that Zoro is actually exerting his will over the sword so that
Oh.
so that the sword does not exert its will over him. Um
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah. Uh
Hmm.
and the shop owner thought Zoro was so cool, he also gave Zoro his best sword on top of that, which was another special sword that I forgot the name of.
Yeah, I can't remember either. It was like a family heirloom, basically.
It was another long named one like Wado Ichimonji.
Yeah,
Uh,
something like that. And
but so now Zoro's got his three swords again, and he
yeah.
and he was able to pay Nami back 100 of his 300k debt.
Yep, and but there's 300 interest, so God bless.
Yeah, I didn't spend any of it though. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You still took it out of my pockets, and
Yeah,
I had to go shopping without that money. So there you go.
true. And
Because she did.
she
I mean, like, she had a stack of clothes. I mean, it wasn't
and
even like this big. It was like
yeah,
this big.
and she got all that money from the villagers at Kokoyashi Village.
That she pickpocket. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Well, and then she even got some money from Buggy, right? Oh wait, no, she gave all of that to her sister, I think.
No, she gave back the money she had stolen over the many years, the like 93 or 97 million, that she had collected to try and pay the Arlong back. There might
Yeah.
have, which I guess Buggy's treasure would be included in that, actually, since
Yeah.
she, just tossed it in with the rest at the start of the arc.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess so.
so no, all of that money would have been from stealing, pickpocketing the villagers.
I'm like, dang, they have a lot of money, I guess. A lot of money in those little bitty wallets and like coin purses.
Yeah, I don't know why they kept so much cash on hand, but I guess they don't have credit cards, so it
I
makes
mean,
sense.
you
Makes
got
a
you
lot of
gotta do what you
sense.
gotta do, I guess.
Yeah,
You don't hide it in your flower beds or like under your mattress, I guess. Just
yeah.
keep it all with you.
Uh,
Uh oh, and then she notices that I think this might happen afterwards. I can't remember, but like she notices that the weather is changing. It's like after she goes shopping. She notices that the
It's
barometric.
it's sometime around when Luffy gets captured by
Oh yeah.
Buggy, because of course that's when the because
No,
Sanji had won his cooking competition at that point. Usopp has won his duel at that point. I'm sure Zoro had his 3 swords by that point as well. And that's when like the climactic part of the arc sort of happens, is when
well,
Luffy gets captured, because that's when the storm starts rolling in.
no, because like at least in the manga, like she comes outside the shop and she's like, "Oh, the barometric pressure is dropping, like it's gonna storm." And then she's like, "Oh, can I have something to like cover the clothes?" And then she meets up with everybody, and then she like reiterates that like, "Oh, like the skies are getting darker," and she like
It's
says it like more than
even more
once.
significant than she thought it was, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
because Nami can like smell when the that's like her secret weapon. She can like smell when the weather's
well, I
changing. Good for
mean,
her, you know.
in real
Like
life
kind
you
of like
can
in Mean
smell
Girls.
storms. No,
Have
in
you
real
seen Mean
life
Girls?
I have not, but in real life it is a thing that you can smell storms. You can smell the
Really?
humidity. Yeah, I've
Well, okay, yeah. Well, or if you're like
but
or if you got like bad joints like me, you like can feel when the pressure's dropping, or you like know when it's about to rain. Like yeah, sucks
but
getting old.
yeah, but Nami has super senses when it comes to the weather. Of course, she can
Yeah,
feel shit that nobody else can feel.
just spider senses.
As we'll most notably see when we get in the Grand Line.
Yeah.
Um, but
And
this does
then yeah, so what happens next? Because I'm
well.
getting the manga and the anime mixed up at this point.
Well,
At this point in the story.
yeah, well, this brings us to talking about our main character, Luffy, and his adventure in Logtown, which primarily consisted of getting lost,
Yes. And he
as
gets to
well
run around,
as
yeah.
Captain Smoker, whichever one you
Captain
want to talk
Smoker.
about first.
Captain Smoker, he is baby girl. He is baby girl,
He's a
definitely.
baby girl.
He's baby girl. You got Mihawk, who's daddy, right? And then you got um what's his face? Then you got Buggy, who's like the weird guy that you kind of keep on the side. That's like kind of hot in a weird way, right? It's kind of like ugly hot. And then you got Smoker, who's baby girl. That's how I rank them in. But anyways, Smoker is kind of like chilling in his office, and they're like, how right? I think he's chilling in the office, and they're kind of
Yeah,
like waiting on
I
the
think
swords woman. I
they
think.
maybe, but they bring him directly the new wanted poster that Luffy
Oh yeah,
has, and it causes him, and they have reason to believe, of course, that he's coming to Logtown, and so he goes out and is like, "No, I'm gonna arrest him by myself," because first of all of the other Marines would obviously be useless against Luffy for rubber reasons, but even them not knowing that he's made of rubber, he has a 30 million berry bounty on his head for a reason.
yeah, and they hadn't had that in a long time, is what he
Yeah,
said.
and so Smoker is the only one there that's like actually capable of arresting him.
And he like, and of course he's got like 2 cigars in his mouth. I'm like, okay, bro, I think you're overdoing it. Like
He's
that's
a
gross.
smoker. Yeah,
And it's because of the devil fruit.
Luffy, I
Yeah.
think, develops the nickname for him like Smokey.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's Smokey. Yeah, it's just Smokey.
Smoky. Yeah, just Smoky.
Yeah.
And so he has just like a jacket, with like no shirt on.
Yeah,
Okay, bro.
so you can see his abs. He's man's
Uh,
ripped. Can grate cheese on those abs.
and then he and I he seems like very menacing, and in the manga he's kind of like covered in like lines and like shadows,
Yeah,
and
because
so
he's
they're
super
walking.
smoky.
Yeah, because he's smoky, and so and so he's walking out, and this little girl, she has her ice cream cone. And she's like, wow, look, I got like 3 scoops of ice cream. And the dad's like, whoa, like, make sure you don't drop it. And she just runs straight into Smoker's leg. And he kind of like looks down at her, like, real menacing like, and she starts crying. And he's like, oh my God, Captain Smoker, like, I'm so sorry. And then he gives her money, and he's like, I'm sorry, my
My
pants
pants ate
ate
your
your
ice
ice cream.
cream.
He goes, try 5 scoops instead.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, and I was like, he's baby girl.
Yeah.
He is baby girl.
So you instantly
Those
have this complete opposite dynamic, so to speak, between Captain Accent Morgan and Captain Smoker.
Yes.
They're the same rank. They're both in the East Blue, but they approach their job, or more accurately, their personality is very different. Where Accent
Yes.
Morgan, very obviously bad cop, Smoker is a good cop, at least well-intentioned cop. Even if, again, as we'll see going throughout this entire series, the Marines are not good organizationally, regardless of the people in it. But Smoker's a good guy.
And the and even like the citizens, it seems like they kind of have a good they kind of have like good feelings about Captain Smoker.
Yeah,
Like
because
you don't
he's done a really good job at cleaning up piracy in the town. They
yeah.
said under his jurisdiction, no pirates had actually managed to get past Logtown. Um,
Yeah. Unlike and then unlike Captain Axan, who like everybody hates and you never hear
yeah,
anything good about that man. You know. So that does show their distinct different personalities.
yeah. Um, so Luffy kind of like bungles around for a while. Smoker doesn't even look at the wanted poster, so he doesn't. He meets Luffy like twice and does
Yeah,
not realize that it's Luffy because he never looked at the wanted poster.
yeah, I think Luffy runs right into him, literally.
Yeah,
like like that little girl did.
yeah, he runs into Smoker at the port when Smoker goes to arrest some completely unrelated pirates.
Yeah.
Where he asks Smoker how to get to the execution platform, because this is actually Luffy's entire. This is Luffy's goal at Logtown, is to go to the execution platform where Gold Roger was executed.
Oh
Since
yeah, and
this
this
is the
is
town he
Gold
both grew
Rogers.
up in
Yeah.
and also was executed at.
Yep.
And even though he was pointed the direction, follow the smoke, he gets lost again anyways and finds himself in a bar. I forget the name of a bar, but it was a bar that Gold Roger frequented prior to his adventure
Mhm.
adventures as a pirate. And it's there that Luffy listens to some stories from an old man who was going to close down the bar, about Gold Roger. And it's like, wow, this guy's cool. He like shot one bullet through a big man's skull and he died, and it was really cool.
Yeah. And kind of like when the guy was a was a barkeeper and Gold Roger came to his bar at one point, he was like, "Oh, I'm going to the Grand Line." And he's like, "You're going to the Grand Line, like don't do it, you know, nobody
It's
ever comes
super
back from there."
dangerous, the same thing everybody
Yeah.
in the East Blue had been saying this entire time.
Yeah, and Gold Roger's like, "Nah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it and I'm going to come back." You know?
Yeah.
And so just to kind of see a person have that kind of confidence in themselves, and of course Gold Roger's like smiling the whole time he's like talking about it.
Yeah. The
I
entire like thing in this island with Luffy is particular is to draw parallels between
Yeah.
Gold Roger and Luffy.
Yeah. And and it's kind of like he's as how do I want to put this? As the bar owner is looking at Luffy, he's thinking of Gold Roger because Luffy is saying like, "Oh, I want to go to the Grand Line too, and I'm
Saying
gonna
the
do
same
it."
things, acting the same way.
Yeah, and for some reason we're seeing a parallel that this is that for some crazy reason that there is that this is that Luffy is opening a way or like starting a new beginning for the pirate era, basically.
Yeah.
He's starting his own era, basically is what I would say, or his own legacy. He's starting his own
Yes.
legacy.
Yes. Um, and you also see Smoker is the bartender's like only customer as well. Smoker likes to frequent that bar
Yeah.
as well, because Smoker, even though he's a Marine, who wants to arrest all the pirates, he was sort of inspired, I suppose, by Gold Roger's execution. He was, or at least he was very. It was very impactful for him because he was
He was in
there.
awe, I would
Yeah,
say.
he was there when Gold Roger was dragged through the streets and put on that platform and made his speech about the One Piece. Um,
Hmm.
and so he was bore witness to all that, and it left a deep impression on him.
Yeah, and I think Smoker is still kind of like looking for that reason, like why he kind of felt that way as a
Yes,
kid.
that's what it is. He's looking for why Gold Roger smiled as he was being executed. What sort of person it takes and what sort of character they have to have in order to smile on their in the face of death and to strive towards their ideals unflinchingly.
Yeah. And so like Gold Roger himself, he's almost like I would almost like to see him as a like almost like a godly, otherworldly figure that people put up on a pedestal, that people strive so desperately to be like, and that his death opened a new way for many pirates. You know, his death
For people in
started
general.
a lot of new pirates' career, basically. You know,
Yeah,
just because they were
he started
inspired
the
by
Great
him.
Pirate era. Yeah.
Yeah. And and so like you know, yeah, we don't know that much about Gold Roger yet, but we see why, or we can kind of tell why so many pirates are inspired by him, and like why Luffy is like so enamored with him and his energy. So
Yeah. Uh, so then finally, Luffy manages to make his way to the execution platform. But also throughout this entire process, we've had scenes because I think he has a meal either before or after the bar scene with Zoro.
oh yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
after.
yeah, and you see Buggy and Alvida, Buggy and his crew and Alvida all throughout the story doing various things, such as
And
Sanji
like
fawning over Alvida and like trying to find her again, and that's how like he encounters Carmen. But the main one that I remember is at the restaurant with Zoro. They like eat a whole bunch of food as they do, but they don't have the money to pay for it.
yeah,
Uh,
and Luffy's like, I thought you had money, and Zoro's like, I thought you had money. Like, I'm in debt. What do you mean? Why would you think I have money?
but they
I'm in
don't.
debt to Nami.
Yeah, but they don't have to dine and dash because Buggy's on the next table over, and he's so frustrated at his inability to find and capture
Yeah.
Luffy that he accidentally flings his cash over
Yeah.
onto Luffy's table. And Luffy's like, "Oh, thanks, thanks for," or onto his hat, and he's like, "Thanks for the payment. Thanks for paying for our dinner, man."
Yeah, and like Zoro, you know, he takes just the exact amount of money they need
It was
and
one
gives
coin
them,
out of the bag.
yeah.
They took one coin out of the bag and gave him the bag back.
Yeah. I'm like, what nice guys. Wow. Like
Yeah,
what good nice men.
yeah,
Because I would have been like, "Oh, thanks. You gave me the whole bag. Like, great, thanks. Bye."
yeah.
So good.
Um,
Yeah, and of course and of course you know, they recognize him. But Buggy recognizes them at this point, and Buggy's like having a
but too
heart
little, too
attack the
late.
whole time sitting there.
Yeah,
And then he's like, "What are you guys doing out there? Like, we just saw Luffy and Zoro. Like how come you didn't go and capture them?" And they're just like, "Huh? What? Who?"
yeah,
Because I think somebody is supposed to be headed out. Oh yeah, it was like Richie. It's like
yeah.
I
Well,
somehow remember.
Moji was eating dinner
Yeah,
with Buggy, and
yeah,
after that dinner, Buggy goes to like chase after Luffy or whatever, or heads essentially to the Central Plaza, the execution platform where Luffy will go. And Moji gets sent off to the Straw Hats ship to try and burn it so that
yeah,
they can't escape.
yeah. And Nami and like Usopp are headed to the ship, you know, because the weather's
Yeah.
getting bad. Yeah.
Although I think we actually technically jumped ahead of it because I think Luffy manages to get to the execution platform before that dinner, and he fights with Smoker a little bit, but he accidentally launches himself across town, and he has to find his way back to the execution platform again. And I think that's when they had lunch.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I think you're right. So confusing.
Yeah, as I mentioned in Arlong Park, a lot of times in One Piece arcs, there's a lot of like back and forth and moving people
Yeah,
around
yeah,
to accomplish specific like narrative goals and
yeah,
jokes.
yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah, you're right. But
But in
yeah,
any
everybody's all over the place at this point. Ugh.
yeah. But in any case, Luffy finds his way back to the execution platform, and Smoker's like, "Well, I don't have to go looking for him. We can just ambush him there because I know he'll be there." Uh, but Buggy was there first, and he ambushes Luffy on the platform.
Yeah, because of course
Clamps,
Luffy has to get up on top of the platform
yeah,
to really experience what Gold Roger experienced. He has to
yeah,
climb up it.
the view that Gold Roger saw as he was being executed.
Yeah.
Um, and then so Buggy ambushes him, clamps him down with like a wooden plank to the platform so he can't escape. And announces, I'm gonna execute him now. I'm about to execute him, and now the storm is rolling in at this point.
Hmm.
And the Marines are ready to fight the Buggy Pirates as soon as Luffy gets executed. So it's all coming to a head. And
Oh, and then we forgot to mention about Alvida. Alvida like shows
oh,
herself.
she shows herself, and Luffy's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah, who are you? And she's like, oh, you're the man that hit me. Like no one has ever hit me before. And he's like, I ring any bells.
I think he even says like, "I think you look better now," or something along those
Oh,
lines.
oh yeah, yeah. And he goes, oh,
Or you
like I didn't
sir
even
oh
recognize you.
no,
Or
yeah, she says that she doesn't look any different or any less beautiful, and he's like, you certainly look different.
yeah, and she's like, the only thing is like, oh, I ate the slip fruit, and like I lost my freckles. Or something like that.
She lost her freckles. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
big difference.
Big difference. And I'm like, look, Alvida, I would have done the same thing. Like, I would eat the slip fruit too if I could, if it'd make me lose like 30 pounds. Like, yeah. So I get you, Alvida. I would do it the same. And of
So
course, like, and so people really do like think she's like, and I guess like, she do, like, I'm confused with her goal of like wanting him. Like, what does she want him for? Just to kill him? I feel like it's for like another purpose, but like, I don't remember.
I I'm
Or I don't really
pretty
know what the
I'm
attention.
I'm pretty sure it's the same goal as Buggy is to kill Luffy because
Mm,
Luffy beat her up. Um,
okay, but she's like before that you have to like, or Buggy wants something to do with you, and then as Buggy is like getting ready to kill Luffy or whatever, she's like,
but she
oh well,
doesn't try
that's
to
too
stop
bad.
him. So I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure their goals are the same, Buggy and
Oh, she just
Alvida's.
words it weird, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
She
Um,
just it's her link or like her she talks like very like romantically. Like she's not super straightforward. I guess maybe is my thing.
yeah. Um,
It's like what does she like want to have him as like a prisoner or something? Like I'm confused.
so there we are at the climax. Luffy's about to be executed. Zoro and Sanji are there to save him, but like they aren't going to get to the execution platform in time. And Luffy struggles at first, but realizes he can't change it, and so he's like, "Well, guys, I guess I died."
Mm.
But
Yeah, and
he knows
yeah,
that he died in pursuit of his dreams, so he has no regrets. And so he has a big smile on his face, which really fucks Smoker up.
yeah, and yeah. Well, and Buggy also tells him like, "Do you have any last words?" And he says, "I'm gonna be the king of the pirates."
Oh yeah,
And
those are his
everybody,
last words.
yeah, and everybody kind of stops and it's like, "Wow, he says that especially at this place. Like, what a dreamer." I think somebody says.
Especially in this circumstance, where he's
Yeah,
literally about to have his head chopped off.
yeah, um, yeah, and so I think like he is he's basically Luffy's radically, I would say he's radically accepting his circumstances, and like you know, and like you said, he died in pursuit of his dream, and that's, you know, he's lived a happy life. He's done everything he's wanted up until this point. So like, deuces, gotta go.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. But of course, the winds of fate are flowing behind Luffy, and Buggy gets zapped by a bolt of lightning right before he chops Luffy's head off, and it destroys the execution platform and allows Luffy to escape. And so they have to GTFO.
Yeah. And
Because
oh yeah, and like yes, Smoker says it's as though some kind of force is willing this man's survival.
yeah.
Well, like Smoker is very
Dramatic.
yes, he's very dramatic. I would say
Well, I
he's
would
like
say
I would say he's introspective. He's constantly thinking and like soul searching. And so he kind of goes off like on kind of different tangents to kind of like find what the right answer is. You know? Kind of
in
like talks to himself
yeah,
to find the right answer.
in some ways though, I would say he's one of the more like normal and or
He's very
serious
grounded too
characters
though. Yeah.
in the series, where most of the other characters, regardless of if they're protagonists or antagonists, are have some goofy personality traits or expressiveness that
Mhm.
like really drive home, so to speak, that these are fictional characters like doing some fictional things. But Smoker is the most like it reacts the most normally generally to everything that
Yeah.
happens.
And yeah, and he's always like very calm, cool, collected, like in control of the situation as much as he can be. And but like the people under him like look up to that kind of calmness to kind of assess the situation, and they pretty much follow his orders accordingly, like without
I mean,
too
he's a
much
man in
fuss.
charge.
Yeah, he is a man in charge. That's why he's baby
Yeah.
girl. That's why he's
Yeah.
baby girl. I'm just
um
saying he's a guy. He's the guy
you
for
you
the job.
also you also get at this point some interesting utility for the powers that the devil fruit powers that our three antagonists have in this arc: Buggy, Alvida, and Smoker. where where Buggy uh chops his body up so that like his hands are and feet are holding onto like
Yeah,
wheels in the front and
he
back,
makes
so
it.
he's like
I think he calls it a chop chop car or
is
something like that.
it's something along those lines, and he uses his trademark buggy ball as propulsion to shoot forward in this little fucking car that's made of his body parts that looks super goofy.
Yeah, and of course, like anything that's kind of like thrown at Alvida like slips off of her. Like it just
Yeah,
boink. Like
and she is frictionless herself. This is another way
yeah.
of thinking about it. And so what she does is
Oh, instead of mine like boing.
she essentially like roller skates on the ground
Yeah.
with with her feet. She takes her shoes off and roller
Mhm.
skates on the ground, doing her
Ah,
little like knee bending
flip
thing
tracks.
side to side. Yeah. And then Smoker just uses his smoke to propel like an actual motorcycle, and it's actually cool.
Yeah, and Smoker uses his whiteout, I guess is what it's called.
That's the name of his attack.
Technique.
He yeah.
Yeah, his technique.
Um
Which is like who would have thought like smoke would be such an effective like attack, like such
well,
a
yeah,
useful.
it's because he can also manipulate its density, so he can also
Mhm.
manipulate how like solid it is. So he can have his smoke like pass through people like air normally would, because it's super thin, but he can also make it super dense and thick, and that's how you see towards the end he's captured Buggy and Alvida in his smoke.
Mm.
Um because he just gathers it around them and then condenses it so that they're trapped and they can't do anything.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then they end up capturing all of them with like a net or something, right?
Yeah, they use nets because that's the most effective way of dealing with devil fruit users. They can't really do
Oh
anything
yeah.
against. I feel like Buggy technically could escape from the net, but
But there's a
it
lot of
wouldn't.
I feel like there's a lot of people in that net, so I don't know.
It certainly wouldn't be easy. I think they got
Yeah.
individual nets. Um,
Oh. I thought it was just like a big net over everybody and then like but maybe not. I don't know.
yeah. So
Maybe not.
Smoker would be able to escape from such a net because he can just turn himself into smoke, which actually reminds me to talk about uh, types of devil fruits, which
Okay.
I believe this is where it first mentions like the names of the different types of devil fruits, where you have Paramecia, Zone, and Logia, and all of the devil fruits you see before Smoker are all Paramecia devil fruits, whereas
Hmm.
Smoker is a Logia devil fruit. So Logia fruits are basically like elemental shit where the actual substance of your body is then made up of that element and can effectively transition back and forth between your body and the element. So Smoker is literally made of smoke. And you see that in the fight against Luffy. Luffy can't do anything against him because he's just punching smoke.
Yeah.
Um, where in zone fruits, which you don't see until Drum Island, are animals or other creatures, and
Yeah.
those have three different transformations typically: the normal human, the full animal, and a hybrid between the two. And then the Paramecias are like literally everything else, and they're as wild as your imagination.
Yeah, okay. And I guess I'm wondering, I guess because if they're all in different categories, can you like are there like different sections of the world where you can like find
No, it's still
like
like I wouldn't say random. The story talks like mechanics about devil fruits a little bit more later on.
mm,
Um, Frankly, I personally think that's too much to think about to really worry about. Because it can be a little like I wouldn't say confusing, but there's some uncertainty with like the specifics and how it functions, where
yeah.
it's like I'm just gonna give the story like benefit of the doubt here. It's like not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not a huge deal, yeah.
Yeah. But no, there is no like there's no like specific area or something that like this is where you
They're
get
not
zone
regional.
fruits or yeah, they're not the different types are not regional. So far as I can tell, like
Or
individual devil fruits are to some extent technically regional, um, but the overall like types are not regional.
mm, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, I but like yeah, I guess I'm excited to see like the different kinds of devil fruit because
I mean, there's just keeps being more and more of them.
um
You'll never stop getting new devil fruits to marvel at.
be like here's another one. Here's another one.
Oh, it's so true. Some of them are so stupid too.
Oh, great. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, but because all the ones we've seen so far, I mean, I'm down with. Like especially like the
Are
ones after
useful.
this arc too are like pretty cool, right? Like we
All the
see
ones
Ace.
yeah, all the ones you see up till this point and even up until up through Ace are useful. Are like
Yeah.
obviously useful, especially with how their users tend to use their powers. Except for maybe the Kilo Kilo lady. She doesn't seem like she particularly knows how to use her as well.
Yeah, she just like jumps up in the air and like she takes too long to change her when that's like,
Yeah,
going off a little bit.
she just sits on people.
Yeah.
What a
Which I'm like
fatty.
you could do so much more. Let me teach you, but you know.
I mean, it's like Mr. 3 puts it, they don't actually know how to use their devil fruits. They just have them, and that's why they're as strong as they are.
Yeah, you guys are just idiots otherwise. I'm
Yeah.
like, he ain't lying. I'm just saying.
And it's kind of true.
I mean, he ain't never told a lie. So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, but Smoker has this cool motorcycle thing.
Yeah. He's riding on that motorcycle.
I mean, baby girl. I'm telling you, he's baby girl. I mean, it looks better than that guy who's riding Richie, trying to use him as a
Moji.
motorcycle.
Yeah, it's true. He was like
Way better.
He was like they styled Richie after like a motorcycle that Moji was like riding on his way over to the Straw Hat ship to burn it.
Yeah. I can't.
Speaking of what we're talking about him, like it starts pouring like super heavily, and he's trying to set the ship on fire with matches.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, bro.
So
I'm like,
and
Bucky,
also
you're so smart. Why is everybody an idiot?
Yeah, and also because it's raining, it almost looks like he's like crying too. He's like, why am I trying to set the ship on fire with matches in the rain?
Yeah, I would be crying too, honestly, if I had to go back to Buggy and be like, sorry, bro, I don't know what happened. And it started raining. There's something else I could do.
Yeah, and Usopp and Nami, because they got back to the ship first because Zoro and Sanji had to go save Luffy, but they went to go get to the ship so that they could set sail immediately since the storm was coming. And so they're left to fight Moji, which they're not strong enough for. But thankfully, Smoker sent the Marines in after them too, and every single shot they fired was apparently targeted at Moji rather than Usopp or Nami. So he's sitting there dodging bullets for like presumably minutes on end.
Which I'm like, good for him. Give him some exercise.
Yeah, he's got some agility, man, and some flexibility with all the different poses he was making to dodge those bullets.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then you got and then I think what's his face? Usopp does like a fresh egg star, and Richie's over there eating it.
Oh yeah, he uses the egg to distract Richie because Richie was hungry.
Poor Bobby.
So that they could, since Moji is like a lot weaker without Richie, I guess, so the two of them can like beat him up. So it's just some basically a series of funny bits.
Yeah, it's cute. And then you get what's her face? I can't remember anybody's names. The swordswoman. You get her, and doesn't she fight Zoro at this point, or tries to?
Yeah, and that's when I mentioned the thing where she pulled out the sexist line, and he's like, "Fuck why do you look like my childhood friend? I hate you."
Yeah, like you're just like the way you just look at her pisses.
He straight up says that. It's like, your face pisses me off.
Like, Zoro, can you not? Like, why are you Zoro? I was when we were talking to Hot Boy Spicy, I was like, Zoro, it's like he's just frustrating, bro. Like, I don't know, he kind of frustrates me just a little bit. Just the way he talks sometimes, it's just kind of it's a little irritating.
At the same time, he also constantly gets the short end of the stick in regards to like Luffy's shenanigans. Aside from Nami, Zoro gets the most physical abuse. Nami gets the most mental abuse.
Or Nami, yeah. Oops.
So back to the main stuff, I suppose. I don't think Sanji does anything like super important at this point in time.
Yeah,
I think he runs back to the ship before Zoro and Luffy. But since Smoker had told Luffy, you gotta beat me up before you're allowed to leave this island, Luffy's like, I'm gonna take care of him. And of course, can't do anything. The guy's made of fucking smoke.
Yeah, and Sanji can't do anything either,
Yeah.
Because I think Sanji's there for like a little bit, right?
At the initial point of the conflict, that's before Luffy tells them to go on ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so Luffy is captured by Smoker at this point, and he's about to not be executed, but just like be captured and fully arrested. But in comes in the winds of fate to save him once again. Except they're not the winds of fate. They're a fucking guy with a tattoo on his face.
It's a bro. It's a dude,
it's
bro.
A bro.
Yeah. So
Well,
like, I'm sorry, Smoker. I know you're trying to be introspective and cool, but like, I don't know, you were a little off.
You may not have really any information to go off of, but what are your thoughts on the most wanted man in the world, Dragon? That is
I
worth
don't know.
again noting, restating. He is the most wanted criminal.
I think, and what does he say? All he says is like,
it's like not Luffy's time yet to
or like, why would I get in the way of another man's voyage or something like that?
Yes. Why would I get in the way of a man's setting out to
Journey,
sea or
yeah,
voyage,
voyagers.
something along those lines.
Yeah. So like, obviously, that we're talking about an anime here, so obviously, it seems like they need Luffy for like some reason. I don't think this guy, I don't think this guy has good intentions. Obviously, like something like he's a bad naughty. Basically, he's not a good guy. He needs Luffy for some other reason. So,
but
that's why he needs him to move on. He can't be captured by the Navy or from. I keep saying Navy because like ships.
I mean,
by the Marines just yet.
It is the Navy, and the Marines are the people of the Navy. I think. That might be how the terminology works. Not entirely sure.
Okay. But yeah, so he can't be captured just yet because they need him. He could be working for an organization because it's anime. He's probably not just a lone wolf. So like, yeah, Luffy is needed for something else. They can't let him go just yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like Dragon. I don't know. Dragon's kind of iffy. I mean, but he's got to be super powerful. I get a bad vibe. I don't get good vibes. He's not baby girl, basically. But if he can cause a huge storm like that to where Nami can sense it and it's like causing this much like craziness to happen.
It's extremely abnormal and sudden and uncharacteristic for a storm, especially of that magnitude, to spontaneously happen like that. Nami had
and I think it's just in that area too.
And Nami had felt no indication up until the point when she first sensed it that there would be any sort of storm coming in.
Yeah, so I guess this would be like the elemental fruit. He's got to be using a devil fruit. Well, obviously.
I would think if anything, it would be Paramecia rather than Logia, because it's weather manipulation, not I am the weather itself.
Okay.
Like I don't think he's like Cloud Man.
He's bummer. I don't get to see him as a cloud.
Yeah.
And he's got like this thick like face tattoo.
I suppose.
So like he's got. Yeah. So he's like a part of some type of like pirate crew.
I suppose it's possible his fruit, now that I think about it, could be like the pressure fruit, and so he can manipulate air pressure to draw in storm fronts like that, since that's roughly how storms work, is pressure differences.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got to be pretty freaking powerful, I feel like. I don't want to mess with him, but I'm excited to see what else he does. I don't like him.
The most powerful man, or not the most powerful, the most wanted criminal in the world. So
yeah. And so I think there's probably more people behind him as well. He's got to be some type of pirate, some type of bad organization. But I think we see a hint of him later on in the arc that we're on, right?
Alabasta? No, I do not.
No,
I think we only see Ace. Since Smoker is in Alabasta, he might have like mentioned Dragon in passing, like
maybe
why would Dragon save you, or something like that, or what relation do you have to
Maybe.
Dragon?
Because I remember you saying like, "Oh, hey, doesn't that tattoo look familiar or something?" But it could have been like a flashback thing.
I also might have been talking about the tattoo on the back of on Ace's back.
No, this was the face one. I don't know. Whatever.
It also might have been in the opening because Dragon shows up in the
Oh,
opening.
maybe it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it was the opening. Yeah, where everybody's revealed.
Yeah,
So yeah,
it shows. Well, in the second opening, it shows like all of the characters, but in particular, during some of the like beats of the song, it like flashes on screen the faces of the antagonists up to that point. It shows, you know, in sequence, Alvida, Buggy, uh Kuro, fucking what's the Rate guy's name? Krieg, Don Krieg, then
yeah,
Arlong, then I think Dragon after that.
yeah. So
And
so
not
yeah.
Smokey.
I mean, so yeah.
Damn. She got the called out. Got called out.
I know. I did.
Yeah.
Okay. I still got like probably like 30 more minutes before I gotta go.
Well, I was going to recommend after we're done with Logtown we stop anyways, since we've gone for
Oh,
hour and a
okay.
half. And I was like, well, I didn't necessarily expect to go for an hour and a half on Logtown alone. That's what I initially thought we were going to do Warship Island too.
Oh.
But I guess we're not.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay.
Do you have anything else to say about the island itself? Or the events on the island itself, rather?
I would say not really. I mean, like it seems like a pretty good place to be. It seemed like the best place to be with Smoker around, to be honest.
It seems like a nice town. Yeah, until Smoker fucking fucks off to chase after Luffy after
That's why, yeah. I'm like,
I wonder
Smoker,
how many pirates
what?
are passing through Logtown after Smoker leaves.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, Smoker, what are you doing? Like with the way Smoker
like, tell
just
the
like
Marines, fuck off. Don't yell at me. I'm leaving regardless of what you tell me, you fucking Marine pieces of shit.
Yeah, pretty much. And it just like to me it just makes no sense. I'm hoping it will make more sense. Does it make more sense?
I think it's interesting for Smoker as a character, because
Yeah, he goes on his journey.
you have because you have this like thing where he's been left a deep impression first by Gold Roger and then by Luffy, and he wants to understand why they smiled on their deathbeds, why they act the way that they are, what makes them tick. And also, I guess to some extent, he's like pissed off that Luffy managed to escape from him.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess I didn't think about I guess I didn't think about that. That he was kind of thinking like that he was kind of going on his own introspective journey.
He has his own like personal journey, so to speak, to go on.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. I thought it was just like his own like personal grudge, and that's why he left. I thought that was the only reason why.
Plays a part. I mean, you see how like obsessed with Luffy he is when he gets to Alabasta.
Yeah, and like, and of course, like, you know, he kind of gets the hint that like, oh, there's more going on here, whatever. Like, they're trying to uncover the mystery, but he's like, but first, Luffy. And I'm like, sir, you're a cop. Aren't you like a sea cop? Shouldn't you be trying to like, I don't know, do a job? Like obviously something's fishy. Like, shouldn't you be fixing that? But whatever. You know, Smoker is still baby girl, so it's fine, I guess. He can do what he wants. But yeah, but then and then of course the swordswoman goes with him. Why? I don't know.
She's like his lieutenant. She's like his right hand man.
Oh, okay. She's the lieutenant. Okay.
Yeah.
But like,
they're a pair.
Is she useful? Like, I don't know.
Well, she's more useful than like the run of the mill guys.
That's true. Okay. Yeah, she's more useful than like the lieutenants we've seen so far. But like man, Zoro just like kicks her butt in 2 seconds. I was really that was really hoping for a more impactful fight between the two. So when Zoro just like kicked her butt in like 2 seconds, I was like, "Really? That's it?"
Yeah,
I expected more.
there is
I
definitely a massive power disparity between Tashigi and Smoker.
wait, yeah. Wait, and so and just for like the story of like, oh, like you look like my friend, my friend was like a super strong swordswoman, like she was stronger than me. She used to be able to beat me, so I thought like, oh, we're gonna get like a really good matchup. No,
No, it's going for
no,
something else. If Oda is going for anything at all.
no. So that was disappointing. I'm sad about that, but whatever. I guess I'll take it. I'll take what I can get, which is we got to see we got to see Smoker
We
and
got to see
Buggy.
Zoro beat up a woman.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
Which is, I think
yeah, and
Sanji
I'm
like
like,
got
yeah,
mad
women
at
are
him too.
strong. Like women can kick butt. Yeah, and then like
No, that one can't.
y- that one can't. Not all women.
Yeah. I don't support all women. Some of y'all are dumb bitches.
And she's the
Or some of
one.
y'all
I'm
bitches are
sorry.
dumb.
I will be excited if I can see her do something great, but right now I'm like, you're dumb. But next,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well.
And like Alvita, like I want to see Alvita and Buggy again. But since we're off in the Grand Line, I guess we're not going to see them
Well.
again.
Well. Just you'll see Buggy again. Just you wait. Buggy only gets better from here.
Okay. Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited because I'm
Buggy,
always excited
Oda's
to see Buggy.
favorite character. Buggy is the best. We
Yeah.
we we stand Buggy piece over
We
here.
s- we stand Buggy in this house
Yeah.
always. And man, it's so again, it's
Buggy
so
piece gets
weird.
so real later on.
Oh, and then like I forgot to mention, I had saved this panel. I'm trying to find it. Buggy had said when he first pops up, he says like, oh, I've dreamt of nothing more than killing you. And it was an epic adventure, like being lost and
Oh
being lost and
yeah.
like finding his crew and his body. It was an epic adventure, especially since I was missing some body parts. There was laughter, there were tears, there was friendship as well, but Buggy persevered. Oh, like, wow, Buggy,
I
preach.
mean, there was friendship and there were tears.
And I'm thinking of like Gaimon.
Yeah.
Are you really Gaimon, Buggy?
Hey,
Really?
they developed a bond, all right? Don't deny the bond of the uh person who consists of a head and hands and feet and a guy who's stuck in a treasure chest.
Like, who hangs out with
Two
weird animals?
dwarfs.
I mean, even Buggy's looking at these animals like, ew. Like, come on. I still can't get over the animals. I swear, I like have nightmares about these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, there's laughter and friendship, and Buggy persevered. I'm like, why are you talking about yourself in third person? It's funny. I thought that panel was funny, but yeah, he's
Uh
always goes for the flair and dramatics.
yeah. So, suffice to say, the Straw Hat Pirates escape from Logtown, and we finish off, at least in the manga prior to Reverse Mountain, with an iconic scene of all the Straw Hats putting their leg on a barrel and declaring their dream.
Yes.
We have Luffy who wants to be king of the pirates. We have Nami who wants to draw a map of the world's oceans. We have Usopp who wants to be a brave warrior of the seas. We have Zoro who wants to be the world's strongest swordsman. And we have Sanji who wants to find the all blue.
Yep.
So they make this epic declaration in the middle of a storm as they lift their legs up and destroy the barrel beneath them.
Yep. And it's like and like the manga panel is like it's drawn really beautifully, like their epic adventure. There's like the lighthouse in the background that's shining, and there's but like the way the storm is drawn in One Piece, like in this arc, is like really well done. I feel like the rain's like that, like you can tell it's like a heavy downpour. Because I feel like sometimes in manga, like rain isn't like drawn very well. Like it just kind of just looks like you kind of just slosh some
Lines.
paint around.
It's just
Yeah.
lines.
And it's just like messy, but it's very detailed work, and like the waves are crashing and the boat is like tilting, like it looks really cool. And they're off to the grand line, and it's like you can tell, like just them setting out on a during a storm. It's just totally like them. Like they're gonna take whatever circumstances they are in, and they're gonna make the best of it, and they're gonna achieve their goals.
The real
You know,
journey starts here if you
yeah,
ignore the anime filler.
yeah. If you yeah, which I guess we'll talk about next time.
Yes.
Which was very emotional for me, and I did cry a lot, like heavy tears crying. So yeah,
Well, with that, I suppose we'll end it here. And next time we'll actually talk about Worship Island for real this time, and also potentially talk about the Garp Kobe and Helmeppo cover arc story, which I
yes,
believe is between that filler and Reverse Mountain, but I could be wrong. It doesn't matter. We'll cover
I
it anyways.
think so. But yeah,
Yeah. So until next time, have a great adventure or something, I suppose. I
yep.
don't have a good ending.
Bye.